Bioware and Bethesda. If you asked most Western RPG fans what developers they loved the most about a year or two ago, both Bioware and Bethesda would have probably been on the top of their list. These two giants have created inspiring worlds, beautiful vistas, and character design and growth that meld together into an unforgettable experience. But what happened? With the possibility of Dragon Age 4 news on the horizon and Bethesda's new IP, Starfield, in the works, one can't help but wonder how the community will receive these new games. This is Trippy Red, and today we're going to investigate why these two previously adored developers are now going to have to fight to win their customers back. Oh, cue the drop. From Baldur's Gate, Knights of the Old Republic, to Mass Effect and Dragon Age, Bioware has some of the most well-renowned IPs under their belt. But something happened in 2017. Mass Effect Andromeda was in the works, and after 5 years of waiting for another Mass Effect title, Andromeda had come to quench our thirst. Well, it would have anyways if it wasn't sprawling with issues in the areas of physics and facial animation. Sounds minor, yeah, but for a AAA developer and a well-known, well-established AAA franchise such as Mass Effect, it's just not okay. The games Bioware had made up to this point were about immersion, and Andromeda was slated to do the same. However, when your character's doing stuff like, well, this...
To whom? And your goddamn father. Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
Let's just say, it doesn't exactly get you excited to view the next cutscene. At least not in the way the developer should want you to anyways. The game got a few new patches and things seem to be fine. I mean, a game never got completely ruined by a bunch of bugs, right? Fallout 76. Fallout 76. Sorry about that. The next game this famed studio would announce would be BioWare's first try and possibly their last try at a looter shooter. Originally presented at E3 2017, Anthem was highly anticipated by many, and the hype had begun to build ever since people saw the trailer. Well, 2 years later, February this year to be exact, the long-awaited Anthem was released. Due to the enormous amount of bad publicity Andromeda got, it was reported that EA had told BioWare to make sure that Anthem was quote-unquote unmemeable, which is really impossible because it's the internet, and the internet can meme anything because it's the freaking internet. But to its credit, it really wasn't memed, at least for the same reasons that Andromeda was. Even so, the world is beautiful, and although a lot of people would say the NPCs were boring, I would beg to differ. Not all conversations were memorable, but the characters seemed alive, the voice acting was on point, and the gunplay was a hell of a lot better than I would be expecting from a developer such as BioWare, who doesn't really have any experience in that field. In fact, I would go so far as to say that some conversations were so good that I would look forward to coming back to the hub just to talk to the NPCs and to continue conversations we previously had, such as an older lady who thought we were her kid, well, just grown. You could either continue her train of thought in that right, or basically tell her she was crazy and needed to get over the fact that her kid was probably dead. Still, this had no impact on the story, mission, or anything, but it was something that BioWare took the time to implement, and I actually really appreciated that. The game was really good. That is, until you get to the end game. There was nothing, and still really is nothing, to do in Anthem that seems worth the time. I had decided to pick back up the game after a near 4-month break to make sure I wasn't crazy, and only one stronghold had been added since then. This is a far cry from the original predicted roadmap, leaving the dwindling player base to wonder if the game had been abandoned altogether. Besides this lack of content, there have been plenty of problems, such as loot drop percentage changes for better or for worse, game crashes, and players getting locked behind glitchy dungeons preventing progression. Then there's the famed Cataclysm event that took way longer than it was supposed to drop and was recently added back due to players basically saying that if BioWare takes it out, then there won't be anything left for them to do. The media and player base had such a run with Anthem that the developers just went silent, not responding to anyone for extended periods of time. It really is a shame, because if they just took some pointers from the original Destiny, they wouldn't have to learn the hard way about creating in-game. If you were to tell me this was all BioWare's fault and none of the blame lies on EA rushing deadlines, then I wouldn't really believe you. Still, with the last two games from BioWare doing a lot worse than expected, some fans have fallen out with the studio. Alright, we're going to continue on with Bethesda, but before we get to it, if you could leave a like, subscribe, comment, anything like that, it really does go a long way for YouTube's algorithm, but let's go ahead and get into this one. From the fantasy worlds of Elder Scrolls titles, including Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim, to the desolate, dystopian wastelands of Fallout 3 and 4, Bethesda is hard-rooted into the minds of Western RPG gamers. Back in 2015, Fallout 4 graced the screens. By all means a great game, still played today by many people. Even still, it wouldn't be a AAA title in today's day and age unless it had its own share of bugs and glitches that need to be patched on day one. But when Fallout 76 was announced back in 2018, oh my friends, the hype was real.
Fallout 76 is a prequel to all the other games, and it's our biggest one yet. It is 4 times the size of Fallout 4. It allows us to have 16 times the detail and even view distant weather systems across the map. And this time it features all new rendering, lighting, and landscape technology.
Oh yes, and when the game finally came out in 2018, it was loved. Everyone was raving about it. The reviews were amazing, and the highest Metacritic score was on the PS4 at 53%. It was wait, 53%? That's actually right. It was 53. It was that low. Oh, okay. Anyways, seriously though, the game was glitchy. It had constant server disconnections, people would just fall through the map randomly, failed rendering, slow rendering, T-pose animations, physics crashes, loss of camp items, and invisible enemies, just to name a few of them. I played the game as well, and it felt like Fallout but lacked any of the charm of the previous series installments. And although the game does present context on why there's very limited NPCs, it just doesn't seem to work for the Fallout world. The real shame is that they let these glitches go on for so long that some users were able to actually find the dev room in Fallout 76, which if you don't know anything about dev rooms, they are located inside of a game and they have all of the items in one location. It's supposed to be secure, but people still found a way and took the items. Duplicated them because Bethesda still didn't patch the duplication glitch and sold them online to people for actual cash. Bethesda's response was to ban people who had the best items in the game. That's big brain thinking. Literally, they just blind fired bans like they're Oprah. I mean, one player had over 900 hours of gameplay and still got banned. No worries, my friend. There's still a way for you to get your account back, and that was to write to Bethesda about how cheating on online games is a big no-no. Luckily, they changed that policy, but they still put over 900 hours into your game and you banned them. I mean, at this point, it was already seen as a bad game and people had left, so to be throwing bans out on some of your most dedicated fans isn't exactly the best idea. But it didn't stop there. Later, the studio decided to create some nerfs that they didn't tell anyone about, that is including, but not limited to, fusion core depletion rate increased, the amount of ammo created from a single craft was reduced, and less legendary creatures would spawn at Watago, all making the game a little bit more grindy. But honestly, if you weren't grinding in the game, I mean, what else would you do anyways? The game came out with a plethora of controversies outside of the gameplay as well. I mean, there's the canvas shortage of 2018 that prevented Bethesda from fulfilling their promised canvas bag in the $250 Power Armor Edition, which Bethesda decided to make up to its customers by giving them 500 atoms to use and exclusively use in the Atomic Shop. By the way, 500 atoms is equivalent to $5. And with this generous gift, you would be able to buy the in-game... Oh wait, that's 700 atoms for the in-game canvas bag? Oh. Okay, so you can't buy it, but if you had 200 more atoms, you could. And that's what counts. On to the more present issue of the power armor helmet that got recalled for creating possible health hazards due to mold. I swear Bethesda's merge is just literally cursed. Fallout 76 is a survival game, and I think a lot of people that hate on it was due to the fact that they really didn't understand that. Instead, they judged it from the standards of the previous titles, but that's still no excuse for the glitchy reveal and opening that they had for the game. But, I mean, some people think that Fallout 76 was just a problem child. It just happened to have bugs, and come on, it's new ground for Bethesda, so we shouldn't worry too much. I, however, disagree on that end. I'm more so on the side that they're really just using 76 as a huge test ground to implement in-game transactions, and in this case, in the form of the Atomic Shop, and find out what works and doesn't work so they can implement it in their future games. I mean, regardless, a fair amount of people are skeptical of what's to come with their studio and their new IP Starfield, so, I mean, we'll see what happens. The question is, which of these giants has the best chance of getting their player base back? I personally would have to go with Bethesda. Yeah, Todd Howard did say that their company is trying to monetize a little bit more on their games after they're purchased, but as long as the monetization is done correctly, even though I hate monetization, but if the games come out off the shelf and work as well as, say, a Nintendo 64 Mario cartridge, then there really isn't much of an issue. If I could just blow on a disc or some software and it's fine, I'm okay with that. Bioware, though, I believe can still get their fans, but it's going to take a little bit more work. Bioware's problems seem to be more internal of the studio. When you have someone like James Olin, lead designer on Baldur's Gate, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and Dragon Age Origins leaving after 22 years, there's a problem. And it would be different if it's only one person, but since 2016, a lot of BioWare veterans have left the studio, leading to really poor visionary direction. This is on top of EA pushing for crunch time in the development cycle and monetization getting pushed as well, so it's not looking too good for BioWare. You know, both of these studios, BioWare and Bethesda, remind me of how like CD Projekt Red and Atlas are to me today. BioWare and Bethesda used to be one of those companies that felt like they were more about their customers and providing a good experience, worth the $60 that you put out on day one. And now it just seems like they're kind of a product of their own environment with the whole monetization and moving towards multiplayer-esque playstyle. But, I mean, that's really just my opinion on it. I mean, what do you guys think? Are you still fans of these two studios, or are you kind of done with the two? Alright guys, thanks for watching the video. It's been fun. I'm going to be trying to put 2 videos out every week from this point. And if you're trying to catch me live, I'll leave a link in the description down below to my Mixer account where I'll be playing Final Fantasy XIV, doing Savage Raid content on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and on Fridays I usually do a weekly roundup talking about the news of the week and anything about the industry really that I may or may not be able to get into YouTube format. So you can catch me on both of those, as well as I'll be playing a few different games, hopefully Catherine here in a little bit, and I'll be checking out what they did with Destiny 2. So it's been fun. Hopefully see you guys again.
Everything.
Peace.
To whom? And your goddamn father. Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything. And right now...